Speaking of politically advantageous, one thing that seemingly would be very politically advantageous at the moment is transparency over the Epstein files. But for some reason, Trump has decided, no, I don't want this easy slam dunk against the left. I want to give them a clip full of ammunition to completely discredit a lot of things that I've done so far and give them a lot of cheap talking points. I think that's one of the most controversial issues in recent memory. But not only that, not only has he shot himself in the foot with not seemingly following through on it, at least not yet, with the way he's acted around this, with how belligerent and arrogant he's giving fucking bombs, he's giving weapons of mass destruction to his political opponents that will use this to discredit him. So one of the biggest things that was MAGA talking points was that, look, we'll get the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. We'll get the truth about Jeffrey Epstein and the horrific abuse that happened on the island, that Democrats are involved in it. Clinton was on his jet, all of these things that were being used to target it. Charlie Kirk, for example, literally said in November last year, vote Trump to release the Epstein list. Vote Trump to release the Epstein list. Pam Bondi has lied at every single occasion. Trump is now, obviously, he has to back her to a certain extent because that's his pick. But now even he's coming out and basically pissing in the faces of the victims and pissing in the faces of his voters over this issue. So what you've seen at the moment, you've seen a breakneck turn from Con Inc., as we call them. Conservative Incorporated, if you will. Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, all of these prominent conservative commentators, who now, apparently under directive, this is from CNN, so again, take this with a grain of salt, under directive from President Trump, have been personally contacted to urge them to tone down their criticism of the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case. And the most important case in many people's eyes in recent history, because it involves something that's so near and dear to people: child sexual abuse and exploitation, child rape, but also the case of justice. The fact that because people are rich, because people are powerful, because they have positions in government and all of these things, that they can be free from consequence while telling people and pissing on them and telling them that it's raining, while saying that nobody's above the law. Well, quite clearly, these people are above the law. That's quite clear to see now. So President Trump has allegedly personally contacted prominent conservative influencers, and you've seen many people now change tack. Many people who were very hawkish on the Epstein files when it was politically advantageous to do so have now changed tack. Dinesh D'Souza, Charlie Kirk, a lot of them have now seemingly changed tack. Charlie Kirk, in fairness, seems to have said, at least, that he's not going to harp on about the Epstein files when there's no, there's potentially no likelihood of getting anywhere with it, which is obviously an admittance of defeat as it is. So at the very least, he's saying that when in the future, if it does come up or whatever, then we can report on it and things will happen. But again, this is something that Trump deserves to be pilloried on. Absolutely. And a lot of people are now saying that, you're trying to destroy MAGA, destroy Trump, all of these things. Sorry, good people don't protect pedophiles. Good people don't protect pedophiles. And that seems to be what Trump is doing, especially when you have a look at the debacle around the cell footage, which is even more. But this is what Trump, I'm just trying to find some of the things. Oh, there was a video that I wanted to go over, but I can't find it anymore. In 2 secs, ladies and gentlemen. There was a video from the tarmac that he gave to reporters, and here we go. So this is one of the videos. Oh, actually, I don't think this is the right part of the video. Actually, I'm just going to check it. 2 seconds. So this is not the video I found before, but this is a video that covers everything that I needed to. So this is Trump giving an interview to C-SPAN. I want you to keep an eye on the person to his left. So it's his left, right as you're looking on the screen. Very, very important individual stood to Trump's left. But this is what he had to say. When a reporter asked him about the release of the Epstein files and Epstein himself and all of these things, this is what Trump had to say. Very much so not a good look. Very much so not a good look. Again, hands a lot of needless ammunition to his political opponents, where even the Democrats have now been saying that they'll call on for the release of the Epstein list and all of these things. Again, they won't do it because they could have done it when Biden was in office. So again, needless destroying of trust with your base. Who knows, maybe it's some 500 IQ chess, who knows. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen, this is what Trump had to say when a reporter asked him again about the Epstein files. Not a good look.
Urge people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake.
Put that there before he goes on to saying that the Democrats made it up and all of this stuff. It was made up by Comey and Obama and all the rest of it. Well, that's either then in the case of you were lying before, you're lying now. So the thing is, all of this is, you can only really charitably say it's riddled with lies. That's a sad thing. That's a sad thing. For the most quote-unquote transparent administration in history, this is absolutely riddled with lies. Because either, now they're saying that the Epstein list doesn't exist. Saying the Epstein list doesn't exist, and even worse is saying that it was made up by Democrats and all of these things alongside the Steele dossier and stuff like that. So either you lied before, so your whole campaign with regards to this Epstein issue was built on lies, and Trump said himself about the Epstein list and stuff like that, the Epstein files. He commented on them himself, saying he was going to release them. It was not just Kash Patel saying that they were going to release them on day one. It was not just Pam Bondi saying that, they were on her desk when she got into the Attorney General's position. It's not just Dan Bongino for a while before this, putting fuel on the fire of the conspiracy theory, saying that Epstein didn't kill himself, to all of these things. Either they were lying before, because they knew there was no list, from Trump's first administration, maybe, for example, when nothing was done. They knew there was no list, knew that maybe all of it had been destroyed or whatever. They knew that there was no list, and so they were just going to use it as a political talking point, and they were going to lie to their voters, barefaced lie to the face of their voters, thinking that they were going to get some payoff with regards to the Epstein stuff and actually know who were committing these horrible crimes when they knew that they weren't going to say anything, and they knew that there was no list to release. So either they lied to get in, which is really bad luck, or potentially, possibly even worse, they're lying now. That they know that horrendous sex abuse happened on Little St. James Island. They know that Epstein potentially linked to intelligence. They know, Zonia, they know that people are incriminated on all sides and all of these things. They know who's incriminated, and they know they have the power to release it. They're just not going to. They're going to flip the bird to their voters. They're going to kick their voters in the face. And they're going to spit in the face of the victims as well by saying, oh, it's not really a big issue. Epstein's not a big issue. Thousand potential victims of Jeffrey Epstein, of child rape. That's a big issue. That's a big fucking issue. You don't get much bigger issues than that. Maybe the only one you could think of is the systematic rape of Britain. It's the only bigger one you think of. Can you imagine that now the next prime minister comes in and says the rape of Britain's not a big issue? I would imagine you'll probably see riots. You'll probably see riots now, if that was to happen. These are very big issues. I'm sorry, it speaks a lot to a person's moral compass if they can listen and hear some of the things that happened on Little St. James, or with these court transcripts in the grooming gangs cases, for example, and say that, oh, that's not a big issue. That's not a big issue. Either because Epstein's dead or the perpetrators have moved back to Pakistan or whatever it is. How fucking dare you? That's what I would say if they were to say that about this issue, for example. But people care about it because it's justice. People care about this because they're seeing that, as much as people say that nobody's above the law and all of these things, they're clearly seeing that people are above the law. There are people that are above the law, and that democracy is a sham, and that justice is a sham. Because provided you're powerful enough and rich enough and have enough influence, you can get off scot-free with the most heinous crimes. Child rape. You can get off scot-free with child rape. And the President of the United States will cover for you. You don't understand why your voters are angry? I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that you don't understand why. You're just pretending not to understand why. And it's very disingenuous, Mr. President, and very, very disappointing. Again, Trump's handling of the situation, very, very disappointing. But I mentioned that person stood next to him, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very important. Trump had more to say on this issue, though, as we'll get into now. Just put it one more on there, that he actually insulted his voters. He actually insulted his voters, calling them, people who are asking about this are very likely bad people. I hope this video captures it. It might not, actually, but we'll just play this video to the end to see if it does.
But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But
really bad people.
Information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
So the President of the United States, who said he was going to release the names of the Epstein files and release the people that have done this heinous stuff, right? These heinous crimes to children. Now said anybody asking about that is likely bad people. What kind of message does that send? It's going to put the gasoline on the fire of conspiracy theorists. Make no mistake about it. Whether they're right or wrong, this is gasoline on their fire, and it was completely preventable. Completely preventable. Now, I believe this is something to take into account. It's a very, very important individual stood next to him. I'm not going to go down the route of like the Jewish conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But one thing that is important to note is the person next to him. Howard Lutnick, is he smiling here? In fact, I'm going to bring this up on screen, actually. This is a screen grab from the same video. Howard Lutnick, this man here on the right-hand side here, over here. I know the image is partly cut, but this man right here shared a wall. So he was a neighbor with Jeffrey Epstein for 21 years. And as Trump is now dismissing people's concerns over the Epstein files and things like that, he's now in the back smiling and laughing about it. In 1998, Howard Lutnick purchased a townhouse connected to Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse. So why? As again, it's going to feel more conspiracy theories again. Not to mention he is a Jewish billionaire, Trump mega donor, according to this person who posted this image. Why is he stood behind Trump as he's giving this interview, smiling that he's dismissing the Epstein case and spitting in the faces of the victims? That's very, very concerning. Just as concerning as what happened with the metadata from the clip that was released, the quote-unquote raw footage from the DOJ, the one that Pam Bondi tried to talk her way around unsuccessfully, that it's not just 1 minute that's missing from that video according to the metadata. No, the metadata shows that approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds are missing from that video, where the two clips were stitched together. And the cut starts right at the missing minute. So what has happened, allegedly, this is per Wired confirming that the DOJ's raw Epstein video was edited in Premiere Pro with 2 minutes and 53 seconds trimmed from one clip starting at the visible 1 minute skip. Some may say that this suggests processing, not necessarily tampering, but it certainly does raise transparency concerns, as one commenter did point out, which I thought summed everything up with this quite well. So they said a federal prison wired with 24/7 surveillance somehow loses exactly 2 minutes and 53 seconds of footage, and those 2 minutes happened to be just during Epstein's death. How convenient is that, right? Metadata confirms that these were either stitched together or processed, or that there's something missing, right? There's something missing. Apparently, this is to be believed now, there's 3 minutes nearly of footage that's missing. At the very least, there's about 1 minute, but there's nearly 3 minutes of footage that's missing. But these are HD digital time-coded auto-backed up cameras. There's no grainy analog tape here. So everything has a footprint, obviously. And apparently this isn't the first time. So this commenter noted that back in 2019, they said that the cameras had malfunctioned during his first attempt. They said that the guards were asleep. They said the logs vanished. And now, obviously, we see that the video was spliced. And it's creating a pattern. And he makes a good point. Let's just keep pretending it's all incompetence. That's quite clearly it's not all incompetence. Something, at least in the eyes of most people, is very sinister as what's going on. It's part of this sinister cover-up, especially when what's even weirder is that the footage that they shared, which they said was footage from outside of Epstein's cell and all of this, right, is apparently not even his actual cell. So as you remember, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be coming up on screen for you now. This is the image that they shared from that video, which I don't know whether they've said is the entrance to the cell block. It's not actually the entrance to his cell, okay? But this is what they said was the raw footage. This is the angle that the camera was at, saying that this was to do with Epstein, whether it's the entrance to his cell block or whatever. And obviously then the angle slightly changes during the cut. It's a very sloppy cut job, right? But this is what Epstein's cell door allegedly, and this is the image that I'm going to share with you now, looked like, that is covered in police tape, as you can see now. So this is Epstein's cell door, an image that somebody shared. So you can quite clearly see that these things are not the same. These things are not the same. The lighting is different. The color of the door is different. The number on the wall. So that's why I was saying, again, it might be that it's an entrance to the cell block, not actually the entrance to the cell itself. But this is the entrance to the cell. This is quite clearly not Jeffrey Epstein's cell. The door structure is different. The color of the door is different. There's a number on the side that isn't visible on the actual door. The lighting is different. The walls are different. Everything about this is different to what you see here, which is the door to Jeffrey Epstein's cell, which he was found non-responsive in, covered in police tape. So you can see here, there's a brick white and grey wall with a grey door with a bunch of other like deadbolts and shit like that on it. Looks nothing like the images and videos that we were shown. There was apparently raw data, mind you, raw footage, raw unedited footage, quite clearly that it wasn't. And again, just whole thing reeks of cover-up,